Hey there YouTube, this is Vargas XX78 with another collection pickup video. Just wanted to share with you guys all the stuff that I've gotten since the last video that I recorded. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it's mostly just movies. I haven't bought any new video games, mostly because I haven't been able to find any new video games. So yeah, it's gonna be mostly movies, but I wanted to share what I've gotten because I've gotten, I think, some really neat stuff. First off, my wife really got into collecting these. So she's been getting all these little Star Wars, they're kind of chibi style figurines. Here we have a Droideka. And a Luke Skywalker. And this one, she bought it at swap meet and they told her it was Star Wars, and you can kind of make out the Star Wars logo. Well, I don't know if you'll be able to make out the Star Wars logo. And it's this little thing that opens up, which now I won't be able to open up. There we go. And it has a little Yoda, a little ghost Yoda. Okay. So yeah, she got it because it was Yoda. Yoda was inside this thing. And she also got this thing. I didn't know that these little chibi Star Wars toys were part of some sort of game. I thought they were just little mini collectibles. But she found this at an Overwheels. And it's a Star Wars Galactic Heroes game. It has Count Dooku and Anakin. And it's a dice game, basically. You throw dice. And then you pick up a power card. And you slowly start, getting damage to the other player. It looks interesting. I don't know if we'll ever actually sit down and play it, but two more toys that will go into her chibi Star Wars collection. So yeah, she thought that was interesting, and it is very interesting. Bought some books. Went to a place that sells used books, and sometimes it's hit or miss. Sometimes they have some really cool books, like the last video I showed, and sometimes they don't have that much, but every month or so they keep switching and getting new stuff. This time that I went, I only found two books that caught my eye. The first one is How War Came, the immediate origins of the Second World War from 1938 to 1939. Basically, this book, it's a historical book. It tells all the things that happened behind the scenes before the war actually started. Some political mistakes that happened, and some things that the Germans did to, infiltrate the way they did. I've played a lot of World War II games. The Call of Duties, the Brothers in Arms, Medal of Honor, and so on. and I find it in video games. I find it interesting. Movies also. I like Kill Bill, and I think An Enemy at the Gate was in World War II. But it's not my favorite time period. It's an important time period in human history. But it's not something that I actively try to research. But this one looked interesting. Because it's behind the scenes. It's a different look on the whole World War II thing, because this supposedly talks about everything that led to it, and like I said, some political mistakes and some political behind the scenes things. The other one I bought mostly because, again, it's a different way to look at the war, which is something that I found interesting. It's inside the Third Reich. Memories of Albert Speer, who was supposedly very high up in the German machine. Worked very closely with Hitler to design, weapons, and because he was an engineer, I think. And this is basically his memoirs after he got captured. He was put into a prison for war crimes, and in the prisons he would secretly write all his memoirs. And yeah, it's basically him talking about his experiences inside the Nazi government. So again, it's a different take on World War II. This time you could say from the bad guy's point of view. So I'm hoping to read this one. I want to read the How War Came first, but that one looks like an interesting read. And like I said, I'm going to talk about movies. Talked about I was able to get a bunch of interesting movies, I think. Getting really close to completing 2 of them. But the first one I wanted to talk about is this one, Más Negro que la Noche. This is a remake of a Mexican movie that came out in the 60s. Actually, that movie is part of the horror trilogy. I like to consider it the horror trilogy in Mexico's filming history. It's Más Negro que la Noche, El Libro de Piedra, y Hasta el Viento Tiene Miedo. Those 3 are the best examples of Mexican horror. And each one of those got a remake. The original versions, I'm still missing El Libro de la Piedra, because I have the remake. But I have both versions of Hasta el Viento Tiene Miedo, and now I have both versions of Más Negro que la Noche. This one does deviate from the original one. In some aspects. The other one was very campy. This one tries to go serious, but it doesn't beat the atmosphere of the other one. Because in the original one, it was a group of friends that, one of them inherits a house, and the only stipulation is that they can't harm her cat. And one of them kills the cat, and then the ghost of the lady starts hunting each one of them down. In this one, the paranormal stuff is already happening, and when one of them hurts the cat and the other ones cover it up, it starts taking possession of the girl that inherited the house. But it turns very weird. It's nowhere near as good as the original, even though the original one is a lot more campy. The mood of the original one is better. So, like most remakes, unfortunately, it pales in comparison to the original. This one I bought because a friend of work told me that he saw it, and he said it was really, really good as far as crime movies go, and I picked up The Drop. Haven't seen it, so I don't really remember what he told me about this movie. This friend from work just said it was a really, really good movie. It has Tom Hardy and James Gandolfini. I think this might be James Gandolfini's last movie. I don't know why Tom Hardy gets top billing if this guy's the main guy, but, you know, that's usually how it goes. But I heard it's a really, really, really good crime movie, so I'm looking forward to watching that. Now, if you've been following my channel, and I hope you have, you know that I'm trying to complete sets of films done by certain actors. I want to complete it. I'm almost have a complete Jim Carrey collection. Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Nicolas Cage, and Jackie Chan. And Jackie Chan movies, he's made a lot of movies, so it's kind of hard to find all of them, especially that actually got a DVD release. One of those that I've been looking for a while, and I don't know why this movie has been so hard for me to find, but I now finally have it, and that's Jackie Chan in Around the World in 80 Days. This is unfortunately is the full screen. This is the only version that I've been able to get from that Facebook seller. He had it, and right away I said I want this movie because I've been looking for it for a long, long while. Again, only bummer is it's in full screen, and I prefer the wide screens. I used to collect full screens because I used to have a really cool but old, one of those big TVs that had the big part in the back. But ever since I got into these big screens, I prefer widescreen because you get the whole picture. And full screen, it would chop off certain parts at the end. So it's a bummer that it's full screen, but it's still a Jackie Chan movie that I've been missing, and I'm super hyped to finally have it and add it to the collection. Jackie Chan in his American movies, I still have to get The Spy Next Door. And I'll have, at least to the best of my knowledge, I'll have all the movies that Jackie Chan starred in the U.S. since I already have the Rush Hours and the Shanghai Noons and so on. The other actor, like I mentioned, that I'm trying to get a complete collection on is Nicolas Cage. So I picked up Bangkok Dangerous. This is actually a remake, I think, of a Korean movie. but they put in Nicolas Cage in it, and this one has the full screen and the widescreen, so this is cool. The only bummer is that it has no special features, and I'm a sucker for special features. I love seeing, like I might have mentioned before, how the movies are made, how the special effects are done. I like listening to audio commentaries. Everyone thinks I'm weird because I like watching the movie and then I watch it again with the audio commentary running. But this one doesn't have no special features, and unfortunately that kind of sucks. But Nicolas Cage. Also, with my daughter, I want to get as many Disney movies as I can. I have a very decent Disney collection. I'm trying to get as many of the animated ones as I can get, plus the live action ones. One that I was missing for a long while, and I don't know why it took me so long to actually be able to find a copy. Because I have been able to find Disney DVDs, but since they're hand-me-downs from families that had kids, the discs are all scratched up. You know, they're in very bad shape. So to be able to find a used Disney DVD that's not scratched up and it's almost mint is kind of hard. But this Facebook seller that I've been starting to buy movies from, he always has a really cool collection every week, and he gives them at good prices. I finally was able to add The Emperor's New Groove. This is a good one. The only problem is it doesn't have the Spanish audio track. Disney, unfortunately, was notorious in that they didn't release the audio movies. They didn't release the movies with a Spanish track until a little bit later on. So yeah, this one doesn't have any Spanish. But I actually want my daughter to start learning English. So it will be cool if, you know, she'll be able to pick it up through cartoons like I did. I learned speaking English through watching, like I said, Godzilla movies and Kung Fu movies and cartoons. Just that's how I picked the language up. For my wife, I picked up the Proposal, starring Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds. We've watched this movie twice. It's a good movie. It's a nice romantic movie. Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds are good in the movie. They have good chemistry. At least me and the wife think so. So we picked it up on DVD because we think it's a good movie. Also, the seller has been getting a lot of these. I have no idea how many there are, but he got The Adventures of Super Mario Bros. 3, Cooper Rocks. I've heard a lot of different opinions in the Super Mario Brothers cartoon. I think the original one was the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. Then they did Super Mario Brothers 3, and then they did Super Mario World. So, in total, I have no idea how many DVDs there actually exists. I only have the Mario Mix one, the best of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, 3 Super Mario Brothers Super Shows DVDs, and now this one. So, I think I'm missing one of the Super Mario Worlds and how many more there are. But the animation is not the best, and some of the jokes are kind of lame, but it's still Mario Brothers. It's pretty cool. I'm only one movie away from completing my set of this one, but I was finally able to get, again, through that Facebook seller, a copy of Too Fast, Too Furious. I know you can buy these new at Walmart and Target for like $5-6, but they don't have the cool chrome look that this one has. And this is the one I've been looking for. Unfortunately, it's full screen again. I have an issue with that, but it's the only version that I've been able to find that has that chrome look, and it has a bunch of special features. So yeah, I like the first printing of the Fast and the Furious movies a lot more, because my favorite one in the series is number 5, and that one I bought on sale at a Target, and the cover's kind of weird. The next movie I bought, again, from that Facebook seller, it's a movie that I've been trying to see for a while, because I've heard some really, really bad things about this movie. It's considered one of the worst movies of all time, and definitely one of the worst sci-fi movies of all time. The Nostalgia Critic did a review, and that kind of piqued my interest, because I never saw this ever in the movie theater or on TV. They never passed it on TV, or at least I never caught it. And it's not on Netflix last time I looked for it. But the Nostalgia Critic and Spoonie does a very cool interpretation of the main character, Churl, and that's Battlefield Earth with John Travolta. Considered by many the worst sci-fi movie of all time. So yeah, I want to sit down and watch this thing. The only thing, I don't really know if there's an unrated version, but it says here, I don't know if you'll be able to make it out, but it says edited for home video. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's a different version that everyone's been talking about, but yeah, I want to see how. Again, I don't know if it's because I grew up watching really bad kung fu movies, so I've developed a taste for bad movies. A lot of movies that it's kind of helped me get. I don't have that many high standards for movies. If a movie entertains me, even if everyone else considers it a piece of crap, as long as I had fun watching it, as long as I can make fun of the movie or laugh at how bad it is, I'll give it a pass. The only sin, honestly, that I give a movie if it's boring. If a movie is boring, that's when I consider it a very, very bad movie. But if it's a fun, cheesy movie, like one of my favorite movies that I like to watching and a guilty pleasure is Armageddon, the Bruce Willis movie, directed by Michael Bay with Ben Affleck. I like that movie because it's so over the top and so cheesy. So I'm gonna watch this, and I don't know how, I don't know if I'll hate it like everyone else. But like I said, I usually give movies a free pass as long as they're not boring. Now this is another movie that I'm trying to look for a while, and it's one of the few horror movies that my wife actually likes, and that's Stir of Echoes with Kevin Bacon. My wife does not like horror movies. She even has a little bit of trouble with thrillers, but she likes this one. She likes this one a lot, so I've been looking for it for a while already, but ever since my wife told me she liked it, now I've been wanting to actively track it down, and I was able to track one down. The next one, I found a 2-pack in Walmart. It's UFC Ultimate Knockouts Volume 1 and 2. So I've been trying to get the other ones. I think they went up to number 9, maybe. I don't know if they've made any new ones. But I picked up UFC Ultimate Knockouts Volume 3. And it's basically just, it's like an hour of just the most impressive knockouts in each pay-per-view. They have like a little minute clip of each fight before the actual knockout comes. Sometimes it's even less than that, but it has a good number of matches, and it has some really cool knockouts. So pick that one up. Another movie that I added to the Nicolas Cage collection because I'm actively trying to complete, like I said, the collections from the actors. But Nicolas Cage, I was able to find a whole bunch of them. One of those that I was missing is Con Air, with John Cusack and John Malkovich. It's basically Nicolas Cage is this guy that was about to be released from prison, but they put him in a transport plane, and someone hijacks the plane to release some other guy. So Nicolas Cage, unfortunately, has to be the guy that. It's kind of like Die Hard. He has to be the guy that steps up and tries to take down the rest of the criminals because, he just wants to get out. So, yeah, Nicolas Cage, it's not as good as The Rock, or Face Off. Face Off is my favorite Nick Cage movie, but it's pretty good. This one, I knew of it, but I've never been actually able to see it or find it on the wild until recently. But I picked up Man-Thing. Honestly, I'm not sure who came first, if it's Swamp Thing or Man-Thing. I'm 50% sure it's Swamp Thing, that Swamp Thing came before Man-Thing. But Captain Strangelove was mentioning in one of his videos a while ago that both of them are actually a ripoff of another character called the Heap, if I'm not mistaken. But I love Swamp Thing. I still collect Swamp Thing comic books. Man-Thing, not so much, because the thing about Swamp Thing is that he actually talks and he has a voice. But the Man-Thing is always silent. The only cool thing about him is that, he burns people that fear. If he senses fear in people, he touches them and they burn. And the other is that he's like the nexus of all realities. Or the guardian of the nexus of all realities. I didn't know until recently that they made a Man-Thing movie. But ever since I found out about it, I've been trying to look for it. And I finally found a copy, so I still have to actually sit down and watch it. I know it's probably not as good as the rest of the Marvel movies, but I'll give it a shot. Was able to find UFC Ultimate Knockouts #4 with St. Pierre there on the cover. This one has even less. The other one is 95 minutes. This one's a minute, and I'm sorry, 1 hour and a half, and this one is 1 hour and 10 minutes. It has even less knockouts than Volume 3, but still, I'm a big wrestling fan. At least I used to be until WWE started going to the crapper. I usually watch WWE as WrestleMania comes along, but UFC also I've been kind of disconnected ever since Cain Velasquez lost his title, but I still like watching it. Now, other than wrestling, the other thing I'm always on the lookout is for anime. Here in Mexico, it's incredibly hard to find anime, but I was able to get Robotech, the Macro Saga, Volume 6. This is the last DVD for the first part of the Robotech anime. As far as I've been able to piece together, what happened is that for the Robotech cartoon, they grabbed 3 different animes and then fused them into one. So they don't have the same characters. For example, this series is started from Volume 1 to Volume 6. So this is a standalone series, and then the rest of the volumes deal with different things. It just so happens that they have mechs in it. But at least, again, as far as my understanding of it goes. But I remember growing up with anime. Here in Mexico, we had some great anime. It started with Robotech. It started with Voltron. Then we got Saint Seiya. Then we got Dragon Ball. Then we got Sailor Moon. Slam Dunk. Captain Tsubasa. So here in Mexico, it was really cool to see anime. So I've been trying to track down as much of it as I can, but I haven't been able to come across that much Robotech. I only have the first volume, but now I have Volume 6, so I have to work my way through the rest of the volumes. Another DVD that I've been trying to track down for a while, and I was finally able to get, unfortunately it's full screen, is Matchstick Men, starring Nicolas Cage and Sam Rockwell. Yeah, this is a pretty good movie because of Nicolas Cage and Sam Rockwell. They use a clip a lot. If you go into YouTube and search Nicolas Cage freakouts, you'll see a scene from Matchstick Men. It's a good little crime movie. Not particularly my favorite Nicolas Cage freakout, but it's still pretty cool. So I'm getting to the point where I think I'll have a near complete Nicolas Cage collection. Also picked up, because I want to add to my Bruce Willis collection, picked up The Kid. Actually, it turns out my wife really, really likes this movie. So that was a win-win, and it's also a Disney movie. So yeah, Bruce Willis, I'm not missing that many movies of his that I like. Like Nicolas Cage, he starred in a bunch of things. Later on in his career, his hasn't been the main character. The last movie where he's been the main character that I remember seeing is Looper. Because it's him and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. All the other movies that I've seen of his recently, he's either the bad guy or the second guy, like, support character. But I like Bruce Willis. I think he's a cool actor. He's had a really cool career. Of his, the only one that I really, really want to get is Death Becomes Her. I've never seen a copy of Death Becomes Her either on DVD or Blu-ray. I have the sequel, and it's always bugged me that I've never owned the first one. Because they have released a new version that has 1 and 2, but I already have the second one, so I see no point in getting that. But I was able finally to get a copy of The Nutty Professor, because I have the part 2, The Clumps. Only bummer is that it has jack shit special features, but this is a pretty cool Eddie Murphy movie. Eddie Murphy, unfortunately, is hit or miss. Sometimes he comes out with a really good movie, like this one. I really enjoyed The Nutty Professor. And sometimes he comes out with a really bad movie like Pluto Nash, but I wanted that one. Also, I picked up, finally, Underworld, Rise of the Lycans. This is the prequel to the Underworld movie. This explains how Lucius came to be the leader of the Lycans, and why I think his name was Victor hates him, and why the whole war started. I don't know why I'm tongue-tied. So yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I dig the Underworld series. The first one's pretty cool. The second one got a little bit over the top. This one is kind of in the middle, and I have to track down Underworld Awakening because that one I thought was a pretty good return to form to the Underworld series. My wife really liked this one, and again, we're trying to build up a child friendly collection. So we picked up, unfortunately, full screen again, but we picked up Nanny McPhee. It's one of the rare occasions where I've seen the movie with the slipcase. A lot of people don't like the slipcases. I've known a lot of people that just take the slipcase and throw it on the trash, but I like the slipcase because I don't know, it looks pretty in the DVD, and most of the times, well, unfortunately, the problem is getting the damn thing in there, but most of the times it has a nice effect. Like this one looks really shiny. It's pretty. I like slipcases. I wish all the movies that I own came in a slipcase. But Nanny McPhee is kind of like a reverse Mary Poppins, where Mary Poppins was nice and joyful and treated everyone nicely. Nanny McPhee is not. She's first of all, she's ugly, but she does have kind of magical powers, and she goes and takes care of rotten kids. But as the rotten kids, start to change, she also starts to change. But like Mary Poppins, once her job is done, she leaves the family, gets all ugly again, and starts again. Honestly, it's a horrible concept for a character, to only be pretty when, everything is happy, but then you have to go back to being ugly. I don't know. I thought it was always weird. Another movie, unfortunately full screen, but it's a movie that I've wanted. Again, you could get this one at Walmart or Target during Christmas, but I like this cover for some reason. The one in the news one looks different, but I picked up The Grinch, or How It Was Changed in Home Media, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, to, I guess, link it to the cartoon. But this one has a buttload of special features, and like I said before, I'm a sucker for special features. I love special features. Honestly, the cartoon's better. Jim Carrey is okay as the Grinch. The makeup is impressive, I'll give it that, and the whole visuals are cool. But honestly, I love the cartoon a lot more. It's a good attempt to make this that into a live action, but the cartoon blows it out of the water, 10 times out of 10. Again, props to Jim Carrey for bringing to life the Grinch. But they I don't know, the original cartoon's like 24 minutes, and they tried to add character development, which is okay, but they went into his childhood, and then they made this romantic interest for him. I don't know, it just seems like too much for something so simple and awesome as the Grinch. But Jim Carrey, now I'm only missing 3 movies, I think. I didn't even know this existed. But the seller in Facebook had it one day, and I was like, he knows that I'm trying to get a Nicolas Cage collection complete, so he sent me a message. He said he had it, asked if I wanted it. I said yes, so I got Amos and Andrew, starring Nicolas Cage and Samuel L. Jackson. I've never even heard of this movie, if I'm honest with you. I've never seen it, never heard of it. But he had it, and I still have to sit down and watch it. But it's weird that I've never heard about Nicolas Cage doing a movie with Samuel L. Jackson. It's weird, but now I have it, so that was cool. Now this one, I didn't know Nicolas Cage was in it, because all of the versions I've seen, let me see if are like this. I know it's a movie with Cher. I'm not a big fan of Cher, but all the copies that I've seen only has this and the name Cher at the top. But this one says Nicolas Cage and has Nicolas Cage. You could see that Nicolas Cage is not originally part of this because he looks superimposed there. But I thought that was interesting that he had this copy of Moonstruck with Nicolas Cage on the cover. Because again, I saw a Blu-ray on Walmart, and it didn't have Nicolas Cage at the top. It just had Cher. And again, you could only see Cher doing that. So I don't know. I don't know if this is a. It says it's a deluxe edition, but I don't know if they. This came later, and they released it after Nicolas Cage won his Oscar for Leaving Las Vegas. I don't know, but another Nicolas Cage collection. I'm sorry, another Nicolas Cage movie to the collection. This one, I remember seeing the Academy Awards where it won some Oscars. But I picked up Glory. This is the special edition that has 2 discs, one for the widescreen, one for the full screen. It's weird. It's weird to see this. Usually you see the both versions in a single disc, but you have to flip it. So it's rare that I find when it has both discs for widescreen and full screen. The problem is that each individual disc has special features. Disc 1, which is the widescreen, has a number of special features. Disc 2 has a different set of special features. But it's during the Civil War. It chronicles the story of the first African American battalion that fought in the Civil War for the North, of course, because they wanted to liberate slaves. I very vaguely remember that movie, but I remember it being very cool. The Facebook seller had another volume of Robotech, but this is different. Let me bring up the original one. Like, I have volume 1 and volume 6 like this. This is the version I have for 1 and 6. But he sent me a message. He said he got Robotech volume 4, but a remaster edition. And it's this one. This one looks different, as you can see. This one has like a still from the anime, and this one has just the face. So I don't know what the difference is between this one and this one. Maybe the image quality. But this is volume 4, so I'm only missing 2, 3, and 5, and I'll have the first part of the Robotech series. So I thought it was pretty cool. To add to the Jim Carrey connection, even though it's not my favorite movie of his, it's part of his filmography, and I picked up The Cable Guy. I vaguely remember watching this movie once and not really caring for it. Yeah, I haven't seen it since, but yeah, it's a Jim Carrey movie that I've never seen. It's not my least favorite Jim Carrey movie. That will definitely go to Me, Myself, and Irene. I don't like that movie. I don't own the movie, and I'll eventually have to track one copy down. But it's that one, and then this one. That's like my order. Least favorite is Me, Myself, and Irene, and followed by this one. I'm only missing Me, Myself, and Irene, Dumb and Dumber 2, the number 23, Once Bitten, and I Love You, Philip Morris, and I'll have a complete Jim Carrey collection. Another movie to add to the Nicolas Cage collection is Knowing. This is later on Nicolas Cage. It's not I owe the IRS, so I'll make any movie Nicolas Cage. He still showed some interest in his movies when he did this one. It's basically Nicolas Cage discovers code that predicts the end of the world. So yeah. It has kind of, I don't know, I always relate this one to Next, where Nick Cage is a psychic that can see the future. And this one, he's a guy that finds a code and he can predict the future. And no one believes him until some really bad shit start happening. So yeah, I don't have Next, but Nicolas Cage is, unfortunately, much like Jackie Chan, is a very hard guy to collect for because unfortunately Nicolas Cage got into some really bad way with the IRS, so he had to take some really crappy jobs and film some really crappy movies, but he filmed like a lot of movies. I have no idea how much money he owes. That would prompt him to make so many movies in such a short amount of time. So to get a complete Nicolas Cage collection is going to be really, really hard. But Leaving Las Vegas is the main one that I want to pick up from him. And I'll have a decent Nicolas Cage collection. Schwarzenegger doesn't have that many movies in his filmography. But one that I remember a lot, because they promoted it one time in WWE. He helped out Stone Cold Steve Austin against, I don't remember who, but he was doing commentary, and then they were beating on Stone Cold, and Schwarzenegger was like, I can't let this happen. This isn't right. Gets up, gets a steel chair, and starts wailing on whoever Stone Cold was fighting. And they were promoting that, and it's the ultimate bad guy that Schwarzenegger has gone up against, and they were promoted worse than the Predator, and it's End of Days where he fights the devil. It's not that good. They tried to go for this real horror theme, and it's not that good. Honestly, it's not bad. It's not the worst movie that I've ever seen Schwarzenegger do. I think my least favorite Schwarzenegger movie would probably be The Sixth Day, where he clones himself, and then Junior. Those would probably be the worst ones that he's ever made. This one's not as bad, but the concept is kind of ridiculous because when 2000 was nearing its head, they released a lot of movies with the devil or the end of the world, and it's Schwarzenegger versus. He's not a total badass, he does get beat up in this movie, but it does have a lot of horror cliches like the friend dies and then he comes back, trying to trick him into helping the devil. I don't know, it's not his best, but it's not his worst. And the last movie to talk about, because I've been talking for like 40 minutes, is a movie I had no idea existed. Again, the Facebook seller posted on his page, and I was like, what? I gotta buy this. And it's Tokyo Zombie. It's supposedly based on a manga, which I had no idea existed. But it's basically like Shaun of the Dead. These two slackers that self-taught themselves jiu-jitsu have to escape Japan that's infected with the zombie apocalypse. And they don't use guns, they don't use weapons of any sort. They just bare knuckle the zombies, and it sounds very interesting from I gathered that from the back, but it's from the writer and stars of Ichi the Killer and Gosu, and it's directed by the guy that did Audition. And Audition is a great Japanese movie. So when I was reading the synopsis here, and I recognized some of the names, I told the guy I need to pick it up because zombies in Japan sold. I love Japan, and zombies are hot right now, so I have to see this one. To see if it's over the top as I hope it is. So yeah, interesting. This is an interesting find, to say the least. But yeah, that was the collection pick a video. Sorry if I ranted and went on and on about certain movies, but that's how it is when you love something. It's you get to talk about it and all the memories that it brings up and stuff. So yeah, like always, I like to make a recommendation. I haven't seen all of these movies because it's kind of hard to sit down and watch movies when you have a kid and you have to work and you have to do your duties as husband, as father, and so on. But I'm going to recommend the ones that I'm hoping are cool, and that's Battlefield Earth. Again, I'm going to go into this with an open mind. If it's a piece of crap, then it's a piece of crap, but at least I'll own a film that everyone says it's a piece of crap. If it's too bad it's good, I'll enjoy it and I'll talk about it. And this one I'm hoping is good. I have high hopes for this one. I'm hoping this one is awesome. Because it looks awesome. It's Tokyo Zombie. Zombies in Japan. How could it be bad? So if I get a chance to watch them, which I'll make it a point to watch them, I'll talk about them in the next pickup video. So yeah, that's the pickup video. Like I said, a nice mix of stuff, mostly movies, but I've been really lucky that I've been able to find so many cool, cheap movies. They're not cheap. They're cool movies at a cheap price. That's the ticket. But I am getting really stacked with movies. It's they're starting to occupy a lot of space, and I'm almost I am at 1,585 movies. So yeah, it's a good number. I think I'm gonna try, and I'm gonna aim for completing my Nicolas Cage, Jackie Chan, Jim Carrey, Stallone, and Schwarzenegger collections, and whatever else come up. But I'm gonna focus on those 5 to get a complete set. But like I said, Jackie Chan, it's gonna be hard to complete a set of Jackie Chan because his movies are popular, therefore they're high in demand. And Nicolas Cage, unfortunately, has released so much crap in the last couple of years that the number of movies that has released is what makes it hard. But I'm going to try to get young Nicolas Cage up toward Season of the Witch. That's going to be my goal for Nicolas Cage. But we're still talking about like 40 movies, 40 plus movies. But we'll see. We'll see. I'll keep you posted. And maybe I'll do a quick Nicolas Cage collection video after I cut this one if I have the time. But like always, thanks so much for watching, guys. And until I see you all again, this is Vargas XX78 thanking you and signing out.